You are now rocking with the Patio PolitiCz.
What up, man? Easter Deal World. It's your friendly neighborhood man, J5TH, King Mac Millie, Trouble T Mills in the building today, man. Great afternoon, great morning, great night, wherever you are on the side of the globe, man. Peace and blessings to you. We pray that your spirit is intact and you feeling well. Yeah. Thank you for rocking with us. Today it's beautiful, man. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's rainy outside. Man, God is moving all the time, and we feeling good. We got a dope show, a serious show, y'all. It's called Sex, Lies, and Soul Ties. Sex, Lies, and Soul Ties. Are you guys familiar with soul ties?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys had soul ties?
Yes.
Yes.
I would still have soul ties.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. So speaking on that, we're going to be talking about soul ties, how to get rid of them. For those that don't know, we're going to address and identify what is a soul tie. How can you have a soul tie? And just, sex and lies ties all in between that. And making birth a soul ties with sex and the lies. So y'all don't go nowhere. Keep it locked, man. We're going to get deep underneath the patio, man. We here, we live, so don't go nowhere. We'll be back after the theme like this.
We hope you stay a while, cause it's right for life. Trying to be part of your life. We got whatever you like. Come on and just give us a try, yeah. Cause it's right for life. Trying to be part of your life. We got whatever you like, yeah. Come on and just give us a try, yeah. I said it's right for life. Come in with the shows that you like. We trying to be the best on the mic. DJ playing cuts that you like, yeah. It could be the start of your day, or maybe just the end of your night. But if you rock it with us, Patio PolitiCz is gonna do you right. Oh, cause it's right for life. Trying to be part of your life. Yeah, we got whatever you like. Whatever you like. Come on and just give us a try. Yeah, cause it's right for life. Oh, trying to be part of your life. We got whatever you like. Come on and just give us a try. Yeah, we hope you stay a while.
Yes, we hope you stay a while. Because if you don't, man,
you're going to get some soul ties.
All right, there it is. There it is. You'll get stuck with a soul tie.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to throw that shit on you.
More than one.
More than one. But, man, welcome back, man. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. We are here officially in the building, man. This right here, man, is a very important, man. It's an imperative conversation and discussion point with soul ties, man, because often in our teenage years, our adolescence years are coming up, preteens even, whenever we start to become intimate with our partners, we don't know what soul ties is. Fellas, we do it so we can have a notch under our belt to see how much trim we can get from a woman, how many women we can hit to say, yeah, I'm that dude, I done knocked out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And women now are just living promiscuous, because of maybe something happened in their childhood, or just because it's a hot girl summer, that bullshit. And in our adolescence years, we're not taught what soul ties are, which I feel is something that should be placed inside institutions like school, like a church, like different things like that.
But
so in books, yeah, well, it's in books, but we're not privy to it. So all through our teens and 20s, all we doing is soul time with each other and wondering why our life is in shambles and everything. So y'all may ask, what's a soul tie? So I'll start first, and then we can just go down the line on what y'all definition is. But a soul tie is, to me, is a deep emotional, spiritual, psychological connection that you share with someone through being intimate. Now, it doesn't have to be physical for you to be intimate with somebody, but that's the primary base, I feel, of a soul tie, is a connection between two people, which makes y'all one flesh.
Yeah.
Now, they have something in 1 Corinthians chapter 6:16, I believe, where it's saying that when a man shares his body with a prostitute, that they become one flesh.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? They become one flesh, and people just look at that scripture and be like, well, she ain't no prostitute and all that, but, so that doesn't count. It does count.
The principle.
It's the principle of it. You know what I'm saying? So once y'all share intimacy with each other, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, which is the most important, then you guys do become one and share one flesh. That's why they teach you at a young age, they don't really break it down how they should, how we are, but they teach you to have intimacy after marriage. After marriage, you are then permitted to be intimate, and now you're becoming one flesh with somebody that you made a covenant under God with. So you know they right. You know they pure.
Closest thing to purity.
Closest thing to purity. You're supposed to have a soul tie with your soulmate. So, fellas, what is your definition of a soul tie?
I mean, I'm right there with you. A relationship that's mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. You can have soul ties with anybody that you come across in this world at any given time. You know, the moment that you are there longer than your attention span, or if your attention span meets you there and y'all stay there and y'all chill, that's a soul tie.
That's a soul tie. Yes, sir.
It's a soul tie.
I also want to preface this with, well, for starters, you guys pretty much summed it up. So adding to how people can better recognize a soul tie, soul ties are often spoken of as a negative thing. And it's not that a soul tie is necessarily a negative thing. Otherwise, like you said, the Bible also wouldn't say that, you know, a man shall leave his parents and be joined to his wife, you know, to become one flesh, which that essentially is telling you that's the soul tie that is proper for us. You know, and because we're not taught that, people don't realize that they have soul ties because maybe not only have you not read the Bible, but you have not understood that those things create that. And we're in a culture now that is attempting to teach people more and more that, oh, it ain't that bad. It don't really mean nothing. It ain't gonna affect you. None of this. Just go out there and I find, interestingly enough, men and women tend to regret older things done. It's kind of like, yeah, you know, I did it. It was a thrill in the moment. But people who actually, I'll say this, not everybody wants to be healed.
Yeah, that part.
But for those who do want to be better and do acknowledge themselves, they're like, damn, all that shit that I did, it's like going and getting brands put on your body. And it may not be completely third degree where it's all the way in your skin and will never come off. But it's like a second degree.
Like a tattoo.
Yeah, it's hard to get it out.
Yep, hard to remove.
So
let me ask y'all, right? With soul ties, are they a good thing or a bad thing from y'all perspective?
They're a source of power, which can be a very good thing.
Okay.
It's all about how you recognize it. Depends on the soul tie. Each and every soul tie is different, so really depends on how you locked in on it, to be honest.
I feel like it could be good for your soulmate. Anybody else that's not your soulmate, I don't think it's good. Because, dude,
it'd be trouble down the line.
It is. Now, let me ask you this. Do y'all think that soul ties alter your DNA makeup, alter your personality, how you carry yourself, your spirit? Do y'all think soul ties does that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay.
Let me ask y'all. Well,
now go ahead.
Let me ask y'all something. Do y'all believe soul ties extend beyond sexual relations?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, like, soul ties. Can there be soul ties between two people who were friends?
Yeah.
Yes. I believe soul ties through the physical and spiritual is what make y'all married to each other. That's what that locks the door and throw away the key.
Okay.
So I feel the other type, like the mental aspect of it and the psychological, is you inviting them in. Then, you know, once the physical intimacy happens, then it's just like now they're inside of you at that point.
It's like fast lane.
Yeah. So if they're toxic, I believe eventually you'll start picking up them toxic traits as well. If they're lazy and you're a go-getter and all that, they'll start to project their laziness on you.
Yeah.
Or even beyond that, if you have soul ties before marriage, a lot of us don't know when we have soul ties because we don't know how to identify it. And we don't know how to break it once we do identify it.
Right.
So that's where shit gets real tricky at, because you might have soul ties from somebody who took your virginity years ago, still ties to that person, and then girlfriends after that you was just hitting and knocking down, you may still have soul ties to them. Y'all ever been in a relationship with a female where y'all was intimate and all this and that, and then years after you done had your relationship, she done had your relationship, y'all back communicating, and then when y'all get together, y'all back like y'all never left?
Yeah.
And y'all can get intimate like that?
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous. Yeah, that's a soul tie.
Dangerous.
Because y'all still feel connected to each other.
Yeah.
Even if a person's been married and all that, y'all still like, yeah, we locked in. And it's an unspoken chemistry to where when y'all link, you know.
So that's where, to me, soul ties are bad, because when I say they're good, like exactly what you described there, most of my I could say closest friends are like that, because most of my closest friends have moved away.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
whenever I see them, it's like we ain't never, missed a beat or nothing. We still talking shit the same way, communicating the same way. So that's not a bad thing per se. It's just, like I said, it's a power that can be used, for very evil. So you see when the enemy uses it in that manner.
Yeah.
Keeping that chick in your head because you remember how y'all used to do it or whatnot, or you remember certain ways, I guess, that you could with her that you ain't with nobody else or something.
Yeah.
That's what you see also attack a lot of our sisters.
Yeah.
In dudes that don't mean them no well.
It's all about the power that you tapped into.
Yeah.
Really. And that's the power that always wins those exchanges for it being good or bad. If you don't know what good vibes is inside of a soul tie, then you're not going to win.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those negatives are going to push on to your spirit, whether if that's how you act or that's how you carry yourself in the first place. It's going to push on to you, and you'll be carrying those moving forward, and you may not recognize it. So I think not recognizing it creates worse effects.
Yeah. Because it lingers.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all this, right? Could you have soul ties between somebody that you're not intimate with?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
If so, how? Like
Time spent. Once I said earlier, once you spend that amount of time that connects you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, when the attention is given, you don't have to be physical all the time in order to create a soul tie. You know what I'm saying?
I'll raise you one even further too. I'm not gonna give no names, but the same way people can have a relationship with either someone who had a certain kind of influence, like a mentor, or a friend, or who you work with, or who you worked on the side with, or just, however far back y'all go with each other. It's funny because this past year, a lot of people said it was going to be the year of exposure, and you look at everybody, not just Diddy. Look how many people are getting exposed out there.
Yeah.
For doing dirty stuff. Like I said, I ain't gonna mention no other names, but it's other shows on the YouTube platform and on the social media space. People getting exposed for dirty practices behind.
But okay,
and
I'm gonna raise you one. Side note: you don't think they're doing that only because they didn't profess this to be the exposure year? Like, do you think they'll still be getting exposed if people wasn't making it trendy?
Or maybe it's not really exposure; it's being covered as exposure.
You mean like it was planned?
Yeah, like everybody like this is the exposure year.
Well,
like people just exposing because it's a trendy thing to do now.
I think that could be, but I'm just looking at it from the soul tie perspective. Yeah. Like for instance, like I said, I won't use no names because I'm not giving them no clout. There were many chicks I went to college with that were, getting behind this one dude who was popular on social media in terms of telling dudes that we ain't shit and we need to up our game and all that. It's a lot of cats out there, the pander bears. Yeah. And then you find out that these niggas are literally,
dogs.
And I don't use that lightly when I say niggas, but that's how they acting.
Yeah, they social media pimps.
They out here smashing the very chicks that they telling to avoid all the rest of us.
Yeah.
They are the living embodiment of what they're preaching against. And a lot of the women who are their fans actually have created a soul tie with them. They just don't realize it because it's like one of them things where you see your leader doing something that you cannot believe and you can't let it go because you already are so drawn in and bought into this person. It's like the same way, those in political power right now, many of their followers can't see things that are wrong that this person has done because they are actually tied in to that person. Exactly. It's the idea of making excuses for your abuser. Or making excuses for somebody who hit you, ladies. Or dudes. There was a bishop many years ago. Buff dude. It's like dudes were bought in because he was a mentor figure. That's an example of a soul tie where people are.
That mental lane is a quick one too.
That's a dangerous one. Now let me ask y'all this because I'm gonna see what y'all answer is. Do you think you can be selectively a selective soul tie if you know yourself?
You mean like control
who you tie your soul to?
I would say no. Like you can have a real strong energy towards it, towards it taking place and towards it happening. But once you there, Yeah, I would say no.
And the only reason I say that because look at one night stands.
Yeah.
Are they still soul tying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because here's my thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just in my experience. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Only because we do know that there are people out there who can shut it off. Mm-hmm. But because they do shut it off, they also have a difficulty pair bonding later in life, or a difficulty investing actual feelings into someone who's actually good for them. That being said, I've seen people attempt to control it in the sense of turning it off, i.e., like you said, one night stands where they just zone out and you just a vessel that I'm. But then don't you always see those very same people get wrapped up in somebody who is horrible for them, and they can see it from a mile away on day one. Yeah.
Still don't get
How many times have you seen people just like, you know what? I know they this way, but I mean, damn, I don't know why I'm this way.
Man,
I mean, shit. I mean, how many times have we been that person?
Yeah, exactly.
I could attest to it for sure.
Yeah. Now, I think I believe if you know yourself truly, that you can selectively soul tie with somebody, especially if they in alignment with you and all that. And like that's why I brought up the one night stand thing. If we just linking to get it cracking for the evening, and then you go your way and I go your way, I really don't know too much about you. You don't know too much about me. Then how are we soul tying outside of the physical?
How long was the sex?
Shit, it depends. Now, see, that's when we break down the perimeter of things. Are we getting the night? Are we spending the night with each other? Or are we just getting the room for a few hours to bust down a few rounds and leave? That's what it all depends on.
It's all got to be looked at.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? That's why I say selective, because a person that knows itself and he or she, I ain't gonna say diabolical, but they know they shit. They're gonna be honest and upfront with the individual, and the other individual gonna be honest with them. So then it's kind of like a mutual agreement on what it is, no strings attached and all that. Because y'all getting a room for 4 or 5 hours is different from y'all staying overnight. I believe y'all still on overnight, you bang her out, and then y'all coddling and all that. Now that's when the soul tie gets involved.
But also
that could happen in your quick bang out.
Because I was gonna say too.
Yeah.
Wouldn't like that to me comes from people not knowing themselves.
Exactly.
Because like for instance,
remember that, because we gotta go on break.
Okay.
All right. Remember that, and I got a question for y'all. Can soul tying with someone compromise your spot in heaven? Think of that. So just remember that, and remember that. I'm gonna remember the question. So, hey, don't go nowhere. We getting deep underneath the patio. It's King Mac Millie, Trouble T Mills, J Fifth. We live and we here, man. We'll be back in a tick on the Patio PolitiCz.
A culmination of powerful properties that create balance and produce good energy. Cultivating a culture of mindfulness is a daily battle. We target your inner me. Physiological effects, change you can truly feel. Aesthetically pleasing on the surface, but handmade to help you heal.
You are now rocking with the Patio
Man, we
PolitiCz.
underneath the patio getting it cracking, man. Sex, lies, and soul ties. So before we went on break, I know T was expanding on something important. I want y'all to remember this, and y'all too think about this. Can soul tying compromise your spot in heaven? Can it rupture your salvation? So go ahead, T.
So actually, to even put it in shorter words, basically, you said that happens. So before the break, you said that people get to cuddling and all
Coddling
kind of
after intimacy.
But when I said people don't necessarily know themselves, a lot of times the very cliche soul tying you hear about that comes through sex is people not knowing themselves. So it's like when they're having sex, it's registering in their mind that they're making love the way they ought to be. Yeah, with the person that they ought to be married to.
Exactly, man. Yeah.
So, because going back to what we said earlier, I know you said we've all been there, but I mean, how many times have we had female homies that we see them stuck in a bind with some dude they shouldn't be?
Yeah.
And you are that one that's kind of like, look, you grown now. I can't tell you what to do, but I'm telling you what's happening here. You cannot see past, this. And it's like, whatever that position is he's putting you in, whatever that one special thing he's doing, because in that moment, the rest of the sex, you might be telling yourself, I don't love this nigga. I shouldn't be with this nigga. But then you get put in that one spot. That is like the middle of the spider's web or the snake's bind.
See, I've never been that type of friend. Not saying I'm a bad friend, but I've never been the one, if they going through their relationship shit, to come to me. I always nip it. Like, nah, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Because you diabolical.
No. Not it's not becoming. It's not that. It just seems like hater shit to me.
Okay.
And breaking the guy code. Don't shoot me, ladies, but that's just me.
Well, let me ask you this, okay? Even though you haven't, what if it was somebody what if it was like your sister or your cousin?
Oh, then it's different. Then I gotta lace them with game, because now you gotta understand if it's a soul tie already intact, what you said is gonna go over their head anyway. So I would rather catch them before the soul tie to let them know what to identify.
But if you don't.
But if I don't, then she asked out.
Like for instance, don't most people come to you after they've already after they're already in the midst of a sinking ship? Yeah, and because I always catch them after the relationship, where it's kind of they still fucking around with them, but they now they on their single shit, so they come to me to try to use me as that rebound or something. But I always give the dude the benefit of the doubt, because it's three sides to a story. It's hers, his, and him. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So oftentimes, if she's immature minded, she's only bringing her side of the story and what he's doing wrong, and it's the victim shit. He did this to me. And if a dude is just trying to get some ass, at the end of the day, he's gonna coddle her, he's gonna hate on him, and he's gonna put himself in a position to get that ass and take her away from him in hindsight. So I always looked at it as some hater shit. Yeah, I mean, okay.
You get what I'm saying?
I see that. It's
That's
funny.
just me though.
Cause like an advantage ploy. Like,
and it works because she's vulnerable at that point. Yeah. See, same way how we be sometimes when we get out of shit.
Yeah. Okay. Because I've heard that a lot. Any time that I've spoken on a situation, it's been like someone that I was never ever truly into. Because I just always felt like that's diabolical to she's in the midst of this vulnerable state.
And let me get her. You got dudes that do niggas shit like that, and I feel it's fucked up. And they think they get brownie points from it. It's like, she's vulnerable. You don't get no points from that. She's an injured player. You scored 21 points on the injured player.
Exactly. Walking around with a busted ACL.
Exactly.
So what?
Exactly.
So what?
So
I got one.
Instead of really helping her and navigating her in the right direction, a dude got ass on his mind, like, now he out the picture. I can really.
Yeah.
And they discernment is all distorted.
Well, my thing is, even at that point, how can you like, when you're hitting it, how can you not just see this like, damn?
It's like when you on the hunt and you see a wounded animal.
A lion eating a bunny or something.
They don't care. That's the sad part. Yeah. And now she still ain't dissolved or got rid of that soul tie with her ex.
Right.
She's making a new soul tie with you. It's women that got 100 soul ties on them. Same with us that got soul ties. And we wonder why we can't have successful relationships because of these soul ties. People don't even know what they are. Yeah. So they just wondering why their whole life is in shambles, because they don't know they still soul tied to somebody. That'd be the fucked up part about it.
Fucked up part is mixing it with trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, trauma a lot of times is when you're taught to know trauma as your norm. Trauma is what then blends more and more ties. That's why people think the more shit that they go through, that mean love.
Exactly.
Like I'll even raise y'all one. I mean, we've all been in therapy here. So when it comes to that, how many times have you found yourself realizing, like, damn, you know what? My entire life, I internalized this as this. Yeah. Or you know what? I'm bored here because I thought that this was what it, and yeah. Like, one ex of mine who loved drama and was always like going off and whatnot. Your ability to like restrain her was like what she felt was love.
Wow. Yeah. Some people mistake abuse for love.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, we gotta identify it, because it's such a broad like topic. But a lot of people is like, well, can you be emotionally so tied to somebody? Yeah. Let's use that the girl who just got out the relationship. When she come, if you sit and listen like a therapist and just listen to her vent and express herself, she's going to be emotionally so tied to you at that point. And we all know the thing, ladies, y'all do too, that once you got this of a woman, everything else is gonna follow. Yeah. You know, she really don't want to give it up to you now because you're being her comfort, her support.
Yeah.
What makes it fucked up is a lot of us take advantage of that and use it to our advantage and not use it to her advantage to make her a greater person.
That's what real control is.
That's what a real control is, and it's soul ties. And we see now we got her in the palm of our hand when we soul tying too. You get what I'm saying? So that shit is heavy, man.
That's why I say it only takes a second of attention for a soul tie to take place. And to answer your question that you left out on the commercial break, I believe so. Thinking about it now, I believe so. Like anything can.
I got another
Anything.
another perspective to give y'all too. Have y'all ever seen the show Them?
No.
You ever heard of it?
I heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
So that show was about the first black family that moved to Compton. For those who don't know, Compton used to be all white, suburb, and everything.
Yep.
Now, great show. I was actually in a scene of it. You can see me, but one thing that was interesting.
You just had to put that plug in.
I had to put that plug in there, man, because you know
this
what?
shit better make sense, man.
You can see me.
Well,
you see me on episode 9.
You can
second
see,
scene.
10 seconds in, just pause the frame.
You can see the,
look in the corner.
the 50s version of me and the 50s version of Compton. But no, long story short, they're to not ruin it because it is such a great ass show, and it's one that probably didn't get a lot of promotion because it doesn't have a white savior in it.
Yeah.
But there's a portion in there where you see where racism developed from one man and how it spread as almost like a spiritual virus through many people. And he was having a conversation with the devil in the basement, and it came in the form of a boy at first, and then once he got closer to it, it was the boy that looked like his dead son that just died.
Yeah.
And he didn't know whether or not he was dreaming or whatnot. But the interesting thing that the devil said to him was that he said a wounded soul is an open door.
Yeah, man, that's real.
So
that's facts.
so that basically you hurt people to then you hurting people is fracturing them to open them up to get inside.
Yep.
The same way that when you connect all these dots, the Bible talks about how in the end days, you know, the Antichrist is supposed to rise as somebody who everybody puts all their faith in as a leader.
Yep.
You look at what happened in Third Reich, you know, why everybody believed in Hitler, because you have to raise a problem that worries everybody. So then you can, you know, it comes from Machiavellianism. I know that I'm putting on my educator hat there. If anybody doesn't know what Machiavellianism, I can explain that later too. But you raise up a problem, so then you bring in your person that, hey, I have the solution to this problem.
Supply and demand.
And I'm the only one who can fix it.
Yeah.
Soul ties that we're talking about are nothing but miniature versions of that.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes the problem is so unrealized that you're misdirected to believe one thing is the problem, you know, but it's really the other that you keeping on your side hip or in your pocket or in your mind.
Yeah.
And so that quote, I was bringing that up to bring up that quote because the rest of the show is amazing. But that what he said to this white man when they showed like the backstory and everything fed into everything else that happened. In the show. Yeah. All starting from like one source. Yeah. Showing you how racism even just spread spiritually and like a virus through people.
I mean, I feel that's the most dangerous soul tie outside of the physical. It's spiritual because you can't see that shit coming. You can't, and it spreads, and it'll even jump on generations after you. And it's crazy that you brought that up because we got to answer the question, you and I, that Mac did. But that ties into the next category, lies. You get what I'm saying? Lies. So we're gonna get into that. But to answer that question that I had asked earlier, can soul tying with somebody compromise your spot or position in heaven? For me, yes. Hell yes. And it ties the lies too. What about you?
I'll say yes too, because I've looked at instances in my life where I could almost feel like God telling me like I'm attempting to take you here, but they can't come. And you don't realize that you know, like, no, you even, you know, shout out to Pastor Stephen Darby. One thing he said is why our people struggled to break our soul tie with this country is he's like, you know, I want to help you defeat your enemies, but you still too in love with them.
You still too in love, man.
That's a topic right there. They can't come.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. For real. And that shit, RIP to Darby, that ties to the lies
Yeah.
Lies is deception that we tell ourselves or other people that are in relationships.
Yeah.
That's the lie that we've been telling ourselves about the relationship that we in.
To believe
in
that there's some
country
good there.
that they fuck with us when they really don't.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lie. And that's the thing about soul ties, you guys. It births lies that we tell to ourselves, and necessarily don't have to mean the other person is telling us, because we now are making them our God and we worship in the ground they walk on. So the lies is a deception that we tell ourselves about this person in the relationship, which are lies that we tell about the red flags.
Yeah.
The lies that we tell about their manipulation,
Yeah.
their plots against us, and all these things. And the lies we tell ourselves is, nah, they wouldn't do me like that. Nah, I'm ignoring that red flag. Maybe they just trip. Maybe he's just yelling at me because he's having a hard day. He's not abusive. You know, yelling turns to pushing turns to choking turns to fist and kicks and all kind of other stuff. And a lot of people don't realize that. It might even be a red flag where the girl is overly physical, you know, because she been raised with brothers. And you could tell it might be play. I don't play with girls like that.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, what's your deal, man? Like, be lady, like chill,
Yeah, I was
baby.
gonna say, you a
stop
lady.
it.
Yeah, nah.
Because if you like that when you
What's your
playing,
deal?
when you get mad, you gonna get physical.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yep.
attempt to get physical because that's all you know.
Yep.
Or you can't control yourself. So oftentimes when we soul tie with somebody, it births a shitload of lies that we ignore
Yeah.
and tell ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, have y'all been in those situations in a relationship?
Oh, hell
Not
yeah.
like fuck friendship,
Yeah.
but relationship.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Consciously ignoring shit too.
that's
Gaslighting the fuck out of the bad.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
I believe I've been asked and brought this up on like shows from 2 seasons ago. Like,
Yeah.
to the point where like it got real for me real quick. And I was fortunate enough to have like, I won't say he was a friend, but an associate back then that was a cop that was able to kind of help me piece 2 and 2 together. And like, you don't realize like what you're
Yeah.
really in the midst of right now, buddy. And it's like, hey, look, if you don't get out of there, you know, you could very easily end up in a situation, man, that'll cost you a case. And then once you're done with her,
Damn.
you know,
Oh yeah.
But can you do that striving for good though?
It's hard if you soul tie with somebody that's bad because the two don't mix. That goes back to compromising your spot in heaven.
Also, think about this too. Similar to the episode we had on Outwitting the Devil, when you talk about hypnotic rhythm. Your hypnotic rhythm has he compares it to like getting stuck in a whirlpool.
Yeah.
And it's hard for a ship to sail upward
Yeah.
and out of it. So the deeper and deeper you are into it, it's not like the bottom pit is hell, but once you're at the
Yeah, it's
Once you're in the
the
cycle.
skinnier part, now you're just, you know. And so when it comes to those kind of people, you're fighting an uphill current
yeah.
to still slowly get out of it. And I think that's the hardest part, because when it comes to even in Outwitting the Devil, he talks about habits.
Yeah. Make it quick because I got a question before we go on break.
Okay, when you get rid of something, you have to have something else to replace it with, and a lot of times people don't. That's why they worry about losing the bad person or not being able to break it.
Yeah. Okay, think about this before we go on break, y'all too. So question. It's a D one. What's the hardest, to mend a broken heart or to break a soul tie?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm coming with y'all today, man.
Jeez,
I ain't
man.
playing. It's thought provoking. I gotta make y'all think. So y'all think about that. What's the hardest, to mend a broken heart or to break a soul tie, man? So y'all don't go nowhere, fellas. Y'all think about that. We'll be back in a tick underneath the patio on the Patio PolitiCz.
Jeez.
You are now rocking with the Patio PolitiCz.
Yeah.
Yes. We back, man. I hope y'all was thinking about that,
You
man.
got a sock full of nickels or something? 'Cause
Man, it's getting deep, man.
That's
What
what
you
that
borrow-
question.
Listen,
mine.
listen, world. What you do not confront, you carry. All right, y'all gotta
Oh,
understand that. What you do not confront, you carry. A lot of
wear that shit well.
you wear well, and a lot of us do not confront them soul ties, so we carry them for 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20, 30 years. Some, sadly, until their death or their demise.
Yeah.
You know, so before we went on break, I asked a very important question to the fellas and y'all too. Hope y'all was thinking about it. Is that what's the hardest, you guys? Mending a broken heart or breaking a soul tie?
On
Easy.
the surface point, I'm gonna say mending a broken heart.
Got you.
But it gets tricky as fuck once you get underneath that surface, because you got to know that you done broke a heart. You got to know that you done soul tied, and then it's a rabbit hole. But mending a broken heart, I would say, would be easier.
Yeah, okay. I gotta say it's an easy one way. Breaking a soul tie, I think. I don't actually think mending a broken heart is as complicated as it seems, and I know that might trigger some people, but hear me out. Because time does heal all things, and if you do put the work in and are intentional about it, then your heart will heal.
Gotcha.
Soul ties, because it's so invisible to a lot of people, you don't even realize when it's still, like, how many times have you thought you was over something and then 5 years later it still could trigger you? Or 5 years, you know.
I think that's
So how is our broken heart?
I was about
not
to
easy?
say that. I was about to say.
But you thought you mended your broken heart, but the soul tie.
I mean, your heart's still broken though. That's how I would look at
A
it.
soul tie is even harder because you just said it. You can create a soul tie without having any knowledge of it whatsoever.
That's why I say it's
how
harder.
can you cure that? You can't cure that if you don't know nothing about it.
That's why I said it's harder to cure. Did I say that backwards?
Yeah, you must have. You must have.
I said it's harder.
Show said it's
It's
harder.
harder. It's harder to break a soul tie.
Yeah, you said it's harder to break a soul tie. Yeah, but then you said that. So, like saying you can mend a broken heart easier than breaking a soul tie, but you'll come to find out years on down the line that you may still hurt from something that happened.
Which means you haven't
soul
mended the
tie.
broken heart. You haven't
Yeah.
truly mended the broken heart if the soul tie still bothers you.
Oh, no, I was thinking just the heartbreak within itself.
Yeah.
Now, I would say, for me personally, I think the hardest thing to do is to break a soul tie. Because once you break that soul tie, I feel that's the key to mending the broken heart.
Yes.
Because once you
But you can mend a broken heart, but there's other things that you have to attend to in order to mend that break that soul tie.
Yeah. But, okay, give me an example.
Well,
What you mean?
Okay, so say you guys created your soul tie through sex. Okay,
Got you.
That's the easiest, quickest way or whatever, right? But within that, we were mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, we were tapped into all of that or whatever, right?
Yeah,
You break my heart. We not realizing where we're at in the soul tie realm or whatever, and we separate from each other.
Yeah.
Now, we could fix that broken heart perhaps from a distance, but how do you fix the soul tie from a distance? If there was more into it than just your emotions.
I get what you said.
Because you two still may not be on the same mental playing field. You know what I'm saying? You might not be in the same atmosphere of okay, well, spiritually I'm here, where you at spiritually. You could still be missing each other. So you could heal that broken heart, but that soul tie still needs some work to break.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
I feel like, fellas, if the soul tie you create together is the one that y'all gonna end together, and that's gonna be the hardest one to break. So if it started with the sexual, that's gonna be the hardest thing to break at the end, because you can kind of break emotional ties and spiritual ties, kinda, but you still gonna be fiending for that person sexually and comparing everybody else after that person sexually to them, which is still gonna make you tied to them.
which is the soul tie
Exactly.
that you haven't broken.
Yeah.
It's
but I do think, just me personally.
Because I could break the physical soul tie and still be tripping on the other shit.
Yeah.
Okay, my thing
Yeah,
is
that's
this,
true.
But
That's true.
I'll ask you this. One point that I've seen people make, and I'm not totally sure I entirely agree with it, but it has context. Have y'all ever heard anybody say something to the extent of like, if you saw a chance to get even with them, or if you had a chance to go in there and like I won't say take another hit or do whatever you did again, you know, and it would just be harmless. Would you take that opportunity to do so, or would you truly just be like, I'm good, I'm going like
if you choose, that's regret.
Yeah, I believe everybody would think about it hard.
But I'm saying, like, I got to a point where I even thought years later that I was over some shit, to the point where, like, now I really look back and I'm like, I really do wish well. The two of the chicks that I went through some serious like shit with before, and I'm like, you know, I don't genuinely like hope any bad on them. Not saying that everybody wishes harm or whatnot, but like, you know, you look back and I'm like, man, you know what? Like, shit, if that person was going through a rough time over losing their parent, or if something happened, I'm like, I would seriously pray for them. Or seriously, because I don't have a tie.
That means the tie is broken then.
That's what I'm talking about, though.
And your heart is mended then at that point.
But that's what I'm talking about. That to me, but you have to break the tie, and then the heart is really mended. Versus if you think you didn't mend your heart, but then years later something still trigger you or piss you off.
Like if you see him.
Yeah.
I feel like if like how you said, then them emotions are gonna come back.
Which means your heart can't be truly mended because the tie ain't broken.
Exactly.
But whose heart are we looking to really mend? Our own or the other?
Well, we talking about our own. Yeah,
we gotta mend our own.
Yeah. You can't mend somebody else's heart.
You sure can.
You can assist.
Yeah.
Heavily. But in them, it's on them.
Now, what are signs that we may have of an unhealthy soul tie? What are signs?
When you really sit down and have thoughts about or think about where is your life headed with this, and if you keep going along with this, you know, like what is this going to take you to?
Let's make it more simplistic for our audience.
If you got to focus on the happy.
Like, take y'all experiences. How did y'all know y'all was in an unhealthy soul tie? I would say early arguments or disagreements. Early disagreements that end up turning into arguments. Having sex before getting to know the person, truly. Or whatever the case may be. Or first, even knowing yourself.
Yeah.
I would say that's the first, not knowing yourself and knowing what you want.
That was the biggest.
And knowing your value.
That was the biggest for me.
Yeah.
Because I'll speak on, okay, well, I'll go first on this in the sense of beyond even just relationships. I look at some relationships. I look at some groups of people that I got involved with at different points in life, and I realized that my issue, I don't know if you can call it this, has always been attempting to be too like loyal. And when you're, you know, and I was listening to somebody else's podcast talking about blind loyalty is actually not a good thing, though we're taught to be. Like, people say,
hell yeah, it's not a good thing.
Somebody who's gonna be down for me no matter what. You know what? You stuck with me through this, and it's like, no, that's how people end up going away doing time.
That's blind loyalty, though.
You know, and so for me, I look at old experiences of either, and I say trying because it did fail, trying to stay involved or trying to continue to fix things. Yeah. That I should have thrown the towel in for a long time ago.
But would you say that, not to cut you off, that's because you didn't know your value?
Yeah.
That, as well as that it was okay to let something die so a better thing can grow, because what gets imprinted in you sometimes, or at least for me, was, you know, hey, you know what, man up and don't quit, you know.
Yeah, you know, just misunderstood.
But you misinterpreting that for don't do that with your wife, not some broad you just courting and dating. That's what I believe with that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that comes in multiple avenues. I'm talking about even other things that I was involved in. I won't mention specifically because I don't want to on this podcast. But when to cut it off, you know, when I was seeing things that I knew were questionable, but attempting to be loyal to the good cause or loyal to what things really stood for on paper.
Yeah,
cut it off when you're done hurting, because you know you've been hurting the whole time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What about like for you?
You can only take so much, you know.
Yeah.
Soul ties, man. You never really think about it at all until it's too late, and then you have to make a decision at that point. Do I want to try to heal this or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not possible to heal a soul tie. Sometimes it's just gone.
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible. Now, if y'all just tuning in, we talking about sex lies and soul ties. We're identifying soul ties. For those that are now tuning in, You may ask, what are soul ties? You know, it's emotional, spiritual, and physical connection between two people. And it can be a group of people as well. How are they formed? The emotional, mental, physical connection that you guys, that's how they are formed. You know, from that, a lot of times lies come into play. And we know lies are deceptive things that are shown to us and told to us to ignore red flags, to ignore manipulation, and all these different type of things. You know, so what are the dangers, though, fellas, of ignoring?
Why do we ignore the red flags?
Because of that soul tie.
Because of that rhythm, man.
When you ignore red flags and shit like that and them lies, it's because we see the potential in something that's not ordained or meant to be by God, I feel.
Yeah, and that it's that small pocket of happy.
Yeah.
And it, like to answer your other question, that was a part of my answer, is just when you have to focus on the happy.
Yeah.
That's when you know that you in a pretty bad situation, because it's like, all right, good things don't happen enough for me to just live within it and experience it and vibe out with it. I gotta sit here and think about like, when was the time that we were good?
That's
like,
emotional
I can't
prison.
stand you.
Yeah, that's emotional prison at that point, and that come from soul tie. We soul tie often with people that we not equally yoked with, and who are sent to us sometimes by the enemy to see if we gonna be right with God or be righteous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we fight for this evil entity or this evil spirit. Like, all right, every soul tie is a bridge, people, and you gotta be careful who you let cross into your spirit. That's like facts. You have to. And if you pay attention, some of the most biggest bridges, you know, sometimes they let up to stop traffic from coming. Some let down, and some even got guards, the police who comes on that bridge and who gets off that bridge. And that's what the soul ties are. And often if we fucked up in our head and don't know ourselves, we letting any and everybody cross it that looks good, that feels good, and all that. And they not for us at the end of the day. That's the cold part about it. How do we break the soul ties, fellas?
Focus on the ones you're creating.
How do we break free from a toxic soul tie?
Well,
I'll start with
why don't you go
Stop
first on that one,
ignoring
bro?
the signs.
I would say prayer. I would say forgiveness, and therapy, you guys.
Yeah.
I would say those three things. Because you know, you don't have to call the person on the phone. A lot of people misinterpret certain things when they're getting preached to in church and like, let that person know you forgive them. You can go and forgive them in spirit. You can pray for them in spirit. But the forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. To free yourself from that bondage of that soul tie.
Yeah.
And like T say, he was saying earlier, how if something happened to that person, it doesn't even make him mad or he don't have no regret. That's the power of forgiveness right there. That's the power of letting go. A lot of times we don't know how to let go of them. We say, damn, his sex so good or her sex so good. That's a soul tie. You start seeing the potential in them when they're worthless. Let's just be honest. When they don't mean you well. That's the lie that you're telling yourself through sex and everything else. And that's soul tie. So forgiveness, therapy, and for sure, the first one I will always say is prayer. I know it sounds cliche-ish, but you got to have a conversation with God like you're going to have a conversation with your girls over the phone or your homeboys. Like how you got to really talk to God like, man, this is my nigga right here. Like, I'm going to be transparent. You can cry, cuss, and all that. He wants to have that relationship with us. We just like look at him in this way of like, nah, he already know what you think. He know what's going on.
Yeah.
He just wants you to tell him so he can fix it.
Can I add to what you're saying too?
Yeah, go
I was
ahead.
going to say, the prayer aspect that people don't understand because they hear it so cliche is pray actually for more and more discernment and things to be revealed to you, and then also pray for something to replace that. I mean I feel like I've learned in
To replace what?
To replace either the soul tie or whatever it is that's keeping you tied, because like what I've learned that I didn't do earlier on, like I'll say in my 20s, is how many times have you experienced revelation like we'll get from oh man, what's his name?
Who
prophesied over us before?
Hurdle.
Yeah, Hurdle. Shout out to Hurdle, man. Shout out to Hurdle. But how many times do you get something like that and it's like, okay, I also realize like that is praying for, okay, if this is happening to me right now and something is hurting me, this tie or whatever I got going on, praying for something to replace that, so you know that, okay, when I lose this, yes, because my emotions are what they are, it's gonna hurt. But I know that there's also something better coming. It's not gonna be just an empty space left in my life. Similar to, I mean, I'm not.
Damn. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm not gonna
Meet it where you met it at.
Yeah,
And
keep
that's
that.
dangerous as fuck.
Keep that. We'll be back with solution and resolution. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back in a tick on the Patio PolitiCz.
You are now rocking with the Patio PolitiCz.
Your ass better not go nowhere.
Nowhere.
Because we talking about your boyfriend or somebody you think you're gonna marry when you're not. Don't go nowhere. And for y'all dudes that
Now
think
they
she the right
leaving.
one and she a flip, don't do that. Don't do that.
Leaving now.
Y'all got to stay for resolution and solution.
Yeah.
Before we went on to break, T, you was saying something important about filling in that empty spot.
Yeah.
That soul tie. Go ahead, because I want to expand on that.
fill in the empty spot. Praying that God will fill in the empty spot with something else. And then if you have experiences like I've had where someone will prophesy to you, may not even be someone that you know about what's coming, and this is the importance of praying so that you can actually have faith that even while things are going bad, it's like, no, I was given a word, and I was told, and then a lot of times we can go back to chop wood and carry water. The bamboo tree don't raise up until later, many years down the line, but it's like first you got to be buried as the seed. And so our situations end up a lot like that. And when I was more in depression, it was because I did not think of that. And I think a lot of people who might be depressed a lot of times over soul ties or situations, they don't know how to detach from. Hell, I'm not gonna go in no long-winded spiel, but I'll just say how I even ended up here. I don't know if I've told y'all this, but y'all know where I used to shoot before.
Yeah.
A spot in Hollywood. I won't mention his name. And I was mentally just drained from that. It wasn't growing my skill or anything.
Yeah.
I didn't have this to replace with that when I left there. It was literally me praying on it multiple times, and I didn't know how to leave. And then the way that I left was literally one night I went there, and it was like it hit me earlier in the day. Almost like God saying, it's not that complicated, bro.
Yeah.
Just do this. And so I went there and I was like, I was chilling. I was like, hey, y'all, this will be my last show.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was next because I'm like, man, I got all these skills. I want to get into film. I don't know anybody. And I keep ending up elsewhere. And then we end up working on Course of the Just. No. Frank Blue. Then Course of the Just. And it was like, But I literally in that moment was like, all right, praying, for something else.
Yeah.
Prayed for exactly. And I had to trust the fact that I had to leave all that behind. Because if I was trying to do them and manage this, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah.
And I was tied to that.
And yeah, you had a soul tie to it. And I would say too, man, knowing your value though.
Yeah.
Who you are. And and once you know your value as a person, as a being, you're going to work out and exercise your discernment. The more you know yourself, the higher your higher self, your discernment is gonna get stronger and stronger. So you'll be able to put yourself in positions where you like, nah, I see this shit a mile away. I see what type of program this is. I see the type of time she on. Women, I see what type of time he on. I'm good because of the way that you're moving in life. And then I would even say too, to add to what you were saying about filling in them voids. A lot of times you talked about planting seeds. A seed grows by itself, but it has somebody that's on top of the soil who it trusts to water that shit. A lot of times we got the wrong person watering our seeds because they too busy watering other seeds, watering other people and all that shit.
Might be watering, might not even be dropping water.
Yeah.
Could be poisonous, toxic.
Man.
Or not, or because they're not paying attention, they dropping the wrong amount of water.
They don't know what the
You can
soil
drown a
is made
seed.
of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can drown a seed
With too much.
with too much water.
Yeah.
And that ties down to our discernment and listening to the lies. Once you soul tie with somebody and you really don't know who they are, you've made your mistake right then and there. Because now after you tie your souls, you guys become one flesh. Now you're spending time identifying this person.
Man.
And seeing things that you say, well, I didn't see that before. That's because you didn't take the time to get to know him in the first place.
Yeah.
And we're all guilty of that shit.
Yeah.
We're all guilty of that. And from that, it has led to broken hearts and then finding out later, oh, it's this thing called soul ties. What is this?
Man.
Later in our adult life. Now we like, shit, this shit get deep.
Anything that triggers your spirit, sitting here just listening to y'all and like really thinking about it, like how would I fix a soul tie, even the ones that I had no idea about.
Yeah.
I would have to check in mentally. That's where I would go to sever all ties if necessary.
Yeah.
Because if it triggers my spirit, then it triggers my mental just
Exactly.
as quick, and the thought is on my mind. So let's go deep into thought.
Yeah.
And let's find out where the problem was, or where the issue was, or where the discomfort is, and let's find comfort within that.
Yeah.
And then what comes from that could be healing in other lanes if necessary. Because a lot of times when I get to a certain point, I gotta talk to that person.
Yeah.
I gotta at least, even if it's not a conversation, I gotta know that I said something to you and you heard it, you read it, you saw it, or something, for there to be the closure in me, because it lets me know, okay, that person, at least you got a chance to let that person know.
But oftentimes, what you do when they don't?
Hey, you just got to know within your spirit at that point that you got it off you, and you got it out of you.
But do it help you or hurt you in the long run? Meaning, after that conversation, are you completely is it let go and that soul tie is severed?
After that conversation, you definitely should be let go and severed. But if you need to know that last portion that I mentioned, that person acknowledged it in some type of realm, then maybe it might hurt you down the line.
But I say, Mac, I was gonna say I can kind of have to disagree with that, because when it comes to how many times, so we think we need that one last conversation, or we think we need that closure, but then you realize all it does is it was like another hit that then makes you.
It depends on where you are personally in your journey.
Yeah,
that's why I said for me, I got to go mental and figure that out, and then get that last piece off, because it's like, okay, whether you're where I'm at or not, and if you have that discernment, you know that they're not where you are. It's just like, I got it off me though, and that's something that I needed to do for me, whether you accept it or not.
But have you had a scenario where you thought you needed to do that for a long period of time, or however long extended period of time, and then when you got the moment to, it's like, nah, you know what?
Maybe I shouldn't have did it.
I'm just leave it alone. I ain't even got to do this, or that.
And
or
I mean
that's
how
I've got to that point where it's like I shouldn't even did this.
That's how I got to the point of, if you just fix it mentally, then you be good, because you get to those other points to do the same thing, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not.
Similar. It's similar to what I said earlier. Like, you know what? I thought I wanted to have this chance to confront him and really, and it's like, I'm cool.
But what triggers the mental is the emotional first. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
They need to know this. Right. Now the mental starts going. Right. You like, man, I'm thinking about all the shit this person did and all this. Now you trigger. It's like you triggering each substance.
They only need to know if you give them the same power that they had beforehand to give you the same damn hurt.
I would feel, man, going back to them to have that conversation is giving them power. Some people just ain't worth the talk. Especially if they liars and they deceive. They don't have no intent to change. And I think we as people got to be wary of those type of people.
Yeah.
Some people are just set in their ways and they cool with it. Well, my mom was like this, so I ain't changed. This is who I am.
If I could tell you how many times I heard that.
I heard that too. And you just got to leave them alone, because they don't have time. They just don't have the with the know-it-all to be different. They don't want to be different. They don't give a fuck.
They're committed to being
who they toxic.
How they are. Yeah.
Toxic.
People with that knowledge also have other ways where they go, all right, well, I know what I need to do, but I know it's not going to work if I do it that way.
Yeah.
So let me write it out.
Let me
write it out. Let me speak out what I just wrote or whatever, as if I'm talking to you or speaking to you, and then let me light that thing and let me move on.
I got a question for y'all.
Hold it. That's true, because, and I think too, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
It depends on them. And if that's what helps you let it go, then more power to you. I know for me personally, it ain't that, like, once I'm done with you, I gotta kind of just, you dead to me. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? That's how I sever my soul ties. Now, if we see each other down the line, then it's all cool. But I know the soul tie is ruptured when I'm really able to be around you without getting vexed, or, my spirit is at ease around
some
you.
Some mood or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
what was your question?
And this might, I don't want to prolong everything, but do people consider also to our viewers, consider how your soul ties are not only going to affect you, but are going to affect the world around you, and that goes into your kids,
your children,
your immediate family, other people. I mean, hell, I'll be the first one to bravely say, like, my first 2 major heartbreaks affected how I even viewed women for some years.
Yeah,
many years. A lot of guys you see now online that that are really just venting out hatred through how they speak on women, but those who actually can verbalize it and reflect on experiences that made you that way, to where you got to realize you heal so that you actually can understand why you were doing that.
Yeah. Or why you went through that.
Yeah. You know, but also like people don't talk about it enough to understand how your soul ties are impacting other people. Because if you're tying yourself to a toxic person who's watering your seed with toxic water or toxic, poison or whatever, well, now you could be also spreading that around the rest of the soil around you. So everybody else's seed don't even have to be directly tied to your situation, but you know how like their mood can bring your whole room down. Yeah. If they walk in, or if they come in the house, and now the whole house, you see that a lot in some of the horror movies you see now, where it's like they don't even visually show you a demon. It's just you see the house was one way, and now all of a sudden the scene is darker. The plants are dying.
That's what happens to our spirit. Our spirit is a room. And that same shit can linger on like that.
And it's affecting everybody in that room now.
Yeah. I believe in order to have a successful relationship after your prior ones, you have to sever and break the soul ties, because who you with, who don't deserve that shit, is going to get the after effects of the trauma that was created through your soul ties that they don't deserve. So before you head into a new relationship, you got to sever all soul ties, because you'll have this beautiful woman come into your life who mean you well, and it's gonna be your for sure rib, but you carrying shit from your previous relationships, lack of trust, lack of commitment, lack of faithfulness, because of all these other the choices you made. Let's be accountable, people. The choices we made, like, is now affecting somebody that really love us and that God is sending us, to really water our seed right, massage our soil, and really be there for us to watch us grow and sprout. And only focusing on our seed, not 20 other seeds that they courting and dating, but to focus on our seed. We got to be wary of that.
And your soul tie is using you as a vessel to draw more vessels in. And then make that,
it's a positive soul tie at that point.
Asking for a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
But that could be happening on both ends, though.
Exactly. That's the only way you can form a positive and a positive soul tie is a soulmate at the end of the day. It's a life partner. You know what I'm saying? Not a dictator, but a life partner in everything. So solutions, fellas. What is a solution to breaking a soul tie, man? Like I said, forgiveness, prayer, and therapy. And lastly on that, I would say just working on self, taking some time after a relationship to reflect, to really, like Max said, you can write it down. You can just really do some deep interventions for yourself to say, where did I go wrong? How and why did I ignore these red flags? Why did I continue to go be in this abusive relationship? Let's think outside of just having kids by this person. Why did I give my body to this woman or body to this person? Why was I ignoring this, ignoring that? Why did I seen this coming a mile away? So that way you won't carry and take it into the next relationship. You want to go into your next relationship a greater person than you was in your prior ones, and having a greater discernment, greater knowledge and wisdom, that when you with somebody, you see and know yourself. Know yourself enough to know, this is what I'm going to tolerate, this is what I'm not going to tolerate. So before we even jump here, before we even get intimate in bed and all this, these are my do's and don'ts. She's able to cross-word that with you, and y'all be in compatibility with each other. You know, so that's what I would say.
To piggyback off of that, do all that, please, but don't get lost in it. You could definitely get lost in it trying to track down how to fix a soul tie and really lose your main purpose of what it is that your goal is in the first place. So don't get lost in the journey of trying to fix it, because sometimes you won't even have that answer right away. But as long as you recognize it for what it is, you're a step ahead of the game. So do that for sure.
Man.
And then lastly, I'll just reiterate, so two things. One is reiterating that when you pray, pray for something new that you need, so that it can fill that empty void that you're gonna feel when that soul tie is broken and it's lost and taken away from you. Because I'm just saying that from my experience too. From my own, because until I learned that, okay, you know what, things happen, a door closes so another one can open. You always hear that it's said as such a cliche until you start realizing like that's how life works a lot of times. And so if you pray for that, when you lose when you feel like you're losing,
Bring us home, T.
and you lose.
Bring us home.
You know,
We on base.
and when you lose, you won't worry about what's coming down the pipe. And then lastly, I'll just say, have wise counsel around you. Wise counsel in terms of people who can tell you about yourself. Shout out Napoleon Hill. You got to have a mastermind. Trust people who can tell you about yourself. My bad.
No,
Coming home, baby. We coming home.
Nah,
We
you
coming
good.
home.
Home run. He slid.
We coming home.
He
I slid into the plate, man.
Hey, for sure, just a little bit. Like he said, wise counsel, having a circle of great people around you that want to see the great in you and that you have positive soul ties with. You know, it can be the same sex, meaning your homegirl, your best friend, your rider, your boy, or mentors, and family, positive family, man. So, man, we hope y'all learned a lot, man. Break them negative soul ties as soon as possible so you can advance in life and won't carry it in your next positive relationship that God has for you.
Cure that mental game.
Cure it. Trouble T Mills, King Mac Millie, your man J5TH. Shout out to the sponsors. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Please share this, y'all. We got to become more knowledgeable about soul ties. What are they and how to break them after we identify what they are.
Yeah.
Man, so peace and blessings to y'all. Keep it locked, man. Like, share, subscribe. And we out like this, man. It's the Patio PolitiCz. We don't do trends, we trendsetters.